What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another new Comic Book Day Top 10 list. Today I'm going to be ranking and reviewing all the books that I picked up for February 8th, 2023's new Comic Book Day. We had a very solid week. Despite me only grabbing 10 issues this week, I was still really impressed with a lot of them. I've got books to talk about today from Marvel, Boom Studios, Image Comics, AWA, and even Whatnot Publishing. And as always, everyone, as I begin to talk about these books, just be aware that there are definitely going to be spoilers, but to give you a heads up, I put a little spoiler tag down below in the corner, so be on the lookout for that. And now, without further ado, everyone, let's get started on these comics. All right, here we go, everyone. Kicking this top 10 list off first, we've got coming in at number 10. This is Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, issue number 3. This is cover A. Now, despite me putting this one in at number 10, it's really not that bad of a series at all. It's just definitely directed more towards kids. I'm just not the intended audience for this series, but the artwork is nice. And I mean, like I said, if you got kids, this is definitely a good series for them. So Lunella still has to stop Olivia from converting everyone into just one of her mindless followers. She successfully does get Devil Dinosaur back at the beginning of the issue, and she figured out how Olivia was controlling everyone. So a good chunk of this issue was just Lunella putting her plan into motion. It turns out Olivia is actually using some sort of Lunella's tech, but somehow managed to make it run off of Kree DNA. So as I was saying before, the series really isn't all that bad. The artwork is very nice, and they're doing a great job telling the story. Just my opinion, I'm not the intended audience for this series. I think it's definitely directed more towards kids. For me, I'm not going to be continuing on with this one. This just isn't what I want to get out of a comic book series. I like just a little bit more adult type stuff, and that's why I was saying if you do have kids, I highly recommend checking this one out for them. And for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 10 this week, this is Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, issue number 3. Next up at number 9, we've got Marvel's Namor the Submariner, Conquered Shores, Part 5. This is cover A, and for those of you who are interested in reading this one, this is the series finale, so be on the lookout for it. So now it's finally wrapped up. I mean, I'm still not entirely sure how I felt about this one. I thought in the beginning the plot was pretty interesting. I didn't really think the story was that great, like the way that they were telling it. But overall, I was intrigued by it. I wanted to keep going with it. And as we made our way through the series, they kind of went a different direction, and it really wasn't that bad at all. So now Namor and everyone, they're still just trying to figure out what to do next after the attack on Atlantis. Torch says no way did the machines go rogue, and Namor actually believes them. But before they can figure out what their next steps are, Namor, Rita, and Atlantis declared war on all of the machines. A good portion of this issue is Namor and Attuma fighting it out, and we quickly learn that it was actually Attuma and Namor Rita's doing so that they could break things off with the outside world and let Atlantis thrive once and for all. When it was all said and done, Namor couldn't finish off his cousin, and he ended up being exiled for good. Now, when I first started reading this series, I thought the plot was very intriguing, and that's honestly why I continued on with it. I wanted to see what happened to all the superheroes. Why did they leave Earth, and why did they never come back? And what honestly happened to Earth? I wanted to see if they were ever going to fix stuff. But as the series progressed, it turned more into just kind of a Namor story. It was him growing as a person. He realized all the things that he's done in his past were wrong, and that's why Namor Rita is also in the wrong. So in that regard, it was a very satisfying ending to the story, seeing him grow as a character. But I mean, I still want to know what happened to everybody. I wanted to know what happened in the entire beginning of this series. Just my opinions, though. That's why I said I'm not really sure how I feel about this series so far. I want to hear your opinions on it down below. And for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 9 this week, we've got Marvel's Namor the Submariner, Conquered Shores, Part 5. Up next at number 8, we've got Whatnot Publishing's brand new one. We've got the Exiled Issue number 1. This is one of the variant covers. I told myself I wasn't going to get this one. I was really let down by Ninja Funk. I honestly thought it was terrible. The artwork, the storytelling, just abysmal all around. Alpha Beta's was okay. The artwork really reminded me of Rick and Morty, and just the way the story was told also kind of reminded me of Rick and Morty, but I didn't continue on with the second issue. It wasn't that bad of a series, though. I had a feeling I was going to be let down with this one, but I said, it's Wesley Snipes. You got to give it a shot, man. I thought it was let down again. I mean, the story, it just kind of fell all over the place and didn't really make that much sense to me. Right off the bat, we get introduced to Detective Roach, and he's going to be one of our main characters, and everyone's been telling them that he's crazy. He believes that he witnessed a mass attack, something that people have been calling the Red Friday attack, but it was just an accident, a crazy conspiracy. Flash forward a year later, and he's been exiled from work, lost his wife, and pretty much everything else, but he won't let this go. People's spines have been being ripped out, and everyone seems to keep thinking that it's all just some weird accident. As the issue progresses, we learn it's real, and for whatever reason, everyone around him seems to be in on it, and they don't want him finding answers. Now, before I completely dog on this first issue, I gotta say, I did really like the artwork. I thought it was very well done, and as far as the actual plot goes, the concept of the story, It is very interesting, but I just don't think it was executed all that well. To me, it kind of reminds me like Boom Studios' Berserker. Not that it's the same plot by any means, it's just that it's a very interesting, unique concept, and it's just not being executed well. I mean, we're pretty much at the end of Berserker, and they haven't really accomplished much up until the very end of the series now. I'm worried this is kind of going to be similar with that. It's going to be all over the place. Now, as far as the plot goes, when I said before, I thought it was a little confusing, didn't really make a lot of sense. They just didn't dive into any details with everything. Everything was just very open-ended for this first issue. It's almost as if this murder might be part of a cult. Why is he ripping out all of these spines? Why are they dissolving with this kind of just chemical agent? There's just so much stuff that had me asking, what is going on? It just kind of reminded me of Ninja Funk too, just all over the place, not just like a direct line path for the plot. Just my opinions though for this first issue. Take it for what it is, and for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 8 this week, we've got Whatnot's new one, The Exiled, issue number 1. Now we've got coming in at number 7 this week, this is Boom Studios' brand new one. We've got the Harrower, issue number 1. This is the guarantee variant. I was really hyped up for this one, but like a lot of Boom Studios series, they're extremely hit or miss in my opinion. It's almost as if they have a complete banger on their hands, or it's a completely missable series. This one, I'm not going to call it a miss just yet, because it was an extremely interesting first issue. Really like the concept of the Harrower. He's kind of like this boogeyman, but just like the Exiled, it's almost as if it was just all over the place and not enough info. The beginning of this issue honestly starts off real strong, and we get a glimpse of the Harrower in action, and we really get to see the type of power that it has. From there, the issue has this kind of mysterious and ominous feel to it, and I really enjoyed that while I was reading it. For this one, the town is on edge the entire issue, literally everybody, including the kids. We learn that it's the 10th anniversary of what seems to be something bad that's happened to the entire town. We don't learn anything about that though. However, our main group of kids do not care about the superstitions at all, and while all of their parents are out at some big party, they decide to go to a party themselves. Now, towards the end of the issue, while the kids are off to their party, we finally get to see the Harrower, and he is absolutely brutal, and we get to see some of the stuff that he's capable of. So now, as far as the first issue goes, I didn't exactly dislike it, but at the same time, I had a hard time enjoying it as well. We literally jumped straight into everything right off the bat. We didn't get any character introductions, we didn't get any backstories, any details on anything. They did leave it up that it kind of seems as though the town may have created this Harrower and the parents made a mistake when they originally made the town, but we didn't get anything on that. And I know they're going to be unveiling everything as the series progresses, but as far as the first issue goes, I think they should have done a little bit more introductions to kind of introduce us to everybody, get us a little bit more acquainted and kind of feel for them. Just my opinions though, I want to hear yours down below, and for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 7 this week, we've got Boom Studios' brand new one, The Harrower, issue number 1. Next up this week at number 6, we've got Marvel's brand new one, Red Goblin, issue number 1. This is cover A. I went into this one with no expectations. I'm not reading any ASM right now. I'm not reading Gold Goblin. I am reading a little bit of Venom, and I know Normie is the Red Goblin in that series right now. But I went into this one with an open mind, thinking it's probably not going to be good, and it honestly really surprised me. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. There was a lot to unpack in this issue, but the Red Goblin is back, and instead of it being Norman Osborn like I was hoping, it's actually his grandson Normie. I haven't been keeping up with any of the ASM like I was just saying, but I did like how this issue did a recap of the original Red Goblin. They also did how Normie became the Goblin Child, and how he recently became the Red Goblin again. A lot of the focus was on Normie and the symbiote he calls Rascal. The idea of it is that the symbiote is still in its puppy stage and they never fully bonded, so they're not really on the same page just yet. The issue is packed with action, the Goblin Nation still exists underground, and we get a surprise at the very end. At times, I felt this issue was a little bit more on the cheesier side, but overall, I thought it was really good and it was way better than what I was expecting. I know at this point, Marvel really doesn't have a lot of continuity in their comics, so personally, I was hoping that it was Norman Osborn taking over as the Red Goblin again, but with everything going on in Venom, I can't speak on ASM, it makes sense that it's Normie, but they've got so many plot lines going in so many different directions. I hope they actually just stick with this one. Just my opinions though. Check it out if you've got a light week, and for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 6 this week, we've got Marvel's new one, Red Goblin, issue number 1. Now we've got coming in at number 5, this is Marvel's Alien, issue number 6. This is cover A, and for those of you interested in this one, this is the end of this volume. They killed it on this one. They knocked it out of the park. This one was hands down my favorite Alien volume that Marvel has done so far. It finally all comes down to this. Ellie, Freya, and the kid are still trying to make it off the planet alive. Now, despite this being the last issue of the volume, it was way more action-packed than what I was expecting. Freya and Ellie finally settle their differences, and we get to see some aliens get blasted, but most importantly, we saw the alien-human hybrid in action. Weyland Yutani is on their way to the extraction point, and that's honestly what most of this issue was. was. They're just surviving until Wayland shows up. They also showed us that Wayland wasn't so truthful about the synthetics gaining US citizenship either. Now for a final issue, there was a lot to unpack with this one. There was so much different stuff going on, and I really hope that they continue on with this plot line in the next volume, because they are going to be making another one. But if it's anything like the last two, they probably won't. But they have been hinting at that kind of alien-human hybrid in the first couple of volumes, and it really looks like they're going to be continuing on with that type of a plot line. I am so excited for this. If you're a fan of monsters, obviously aliens, you definitely need to check this one out. And for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 5 this week, this is Marvel's Alien issue number 6. Next up, we've got AWA's Erratic Recharged issue number 4. This is also the series finale for this one, and we've got another banger on our hands from AWA Upshot. The first volume of Erratic was fantastic, and this was an incredible follow-up. Ollie was once again betrayed by his dad, and now him and everyone else is locked up for being suspected as a reborn and having illegal abilities. They don't know Ollie can only use his powers for 10 minutes a day, so they resorted to torturing him and his dad for the answers that they want. While all of this is going down, remember that countdown timer to the void? Well, that's still active, so there is just a lot going on in this issue. It turns out the leader of the organization was actually a reborn the entire time, and he needed Ollie, or at least a different reborn, so that he could merge with the void itself. The timer struck 0, and when the void appeared, all hell broke loose in this one, and we had some really good action resulting in Ollie saving the day. I'll tell you what, at this point, I don't know if AWA puts out a bad story. They are just constantly putting out incredible series after incredible series. I don't even know if I can think of a bad one off the top of my head. They always make these 4 and 5 issue mini runs that just feel so complete with incredible artwork and just fantastic storytelling. I highly recommend checking out this one. You definitely need to read the first volume, and in my opinion, I do think the first volume was better, but the first volume was fantastic. This one was just a great follow-up to it. And for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 4 this week, we've got AWA's Erratic Recharged issue number 4. Up next at number 3 this week, folks, we've got Marvel's Daredevil issue number 8. This is cover A. I'll tell you what, everyone, this might be one of my favorite ongoing series from Marvel right now. Chip Zdarsky's storytelling on top of Cicchetto's artwork, it is incredible. They are doing such a phenomenal job with this one, and they are finally just getting that war going. They're tying it in with the Punisher series, so if you're not reading that one kind of does suck. But I feel as though Zdarsky did a really good job leading us to this moment where you kind of know all of the info that you need to. Daredevil, Elektra, and the Fist have landed, and it's finally time for them to take out the Punisher and the Hand. This was a non-stop action issue, and everything that Zdarsky has been building in this series has led to this moment. Fighting aside, I absolutely love the dialogue and the narration of this issue. This war has been brewing for a while now, so it was great to see Daredevil and the Punisher finally have their showdown. While the war isn't over, I like how Zdarsky has slowly been building that something's been off with Daredevil as well, and that the other heroes need to put a stop to him too. Seriously, Zdarsky is cooking one hell of a story with this one right now, and the artwork is just the chef's kiss on top of it. I love that he's been building kind of this background plot line while everything is going on with Daredevil and the Punisher. We got all these other superheroes that are trying to get into the mix. This is seriously a top-notch read from Marvel. I remember talking about this one a little bit more in the beginning, where I was like, man, I didn't finish reading the other Chip Zdarsky Daredevil series. I didn't read the Devil's Reign stuff. I felt a little lost in the beginning. No. Just power through it, start reading this series, and at this point, it is just a top-notch one. Definitely check it out if you haven't already done so, and for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 3 this week, we've got Marvel's Daredevil issue number 8. Here we go, folks. We're down to the top 2 issues of the week. So coming in at number 2, we've got Image's brand new one, Monarch issue number 1. This is cover A. This is a brand new series written by Rodney Barnes. If you haven't read Philadelphia or Nita Hawes' Nightmare blog, you absolutely need to change that up, and I think we've got a banger on our hands for this one too. So our story begins with Trayvon. He's a foster kid that's living in Compton, but things aren't so normal for him. He's got this bully that won't leave him alone, and on top of that, there's this weird rainbow cloud, that's what they refer to it as, that's been hovering above their city. Despite them not knowing what it is, they treat everything just like a regular day. Trayvon goes to school, runs away from his bully, sees his friends, and he goes to class. I mean, why would they treat anything differently? It's just this odd rainbow cloud that hovers above them. But then one day the cloud opens. Aliens come down to Earth and they wreak havoc on everyone that's outside. The aliens honestly reminded me of the Starship Troopers aliens, if you've seen that movie from back in the day. It's a pretty brutal story with the aliens, and then they leave us on an awesome cliffhanger. Folks, Rodney Barnes just has this way of telling a monster story. With Philadelphia and Nita Hawes, like I was talking about earlier, it's got vampires, demons, and ghosts, and all of this wacky and wild stuff. And now we've got a brand new series with Monarch, and it's an alien series. I am so pumped for it. The artwork was great, and obviously with his storytelling, it's only going to get better and better as the series progresses. I highly recommend checking this one out, and for those reasons, we've got coming in at number 2 this week, we've got Image's brand new one, Monarch, issue number 1. Here we go, everyone. This is it, my number 1 read of the week. We've got coming in at number 1 this week, this is Image's Little Monsters, issue number 10. This is cover B. They did such an incredible job with this issue. This is the one that we have been waiting for the entire series. Everything is starting to finally make sense. This entire issue was the story of the Elder Vampires and Rami. We finally learned how their group grew, what was going on in the world, and why the kids didn't eat humans, only animals. Pretty much any question that you had for this series was most likely answered in this issue. It was so cool that we finally got to watch the group grow in this issue, and then they began to move further and further away from society due to pretty much everyone being crazy and full of hate, which is nuts because they're vampires, they're out here hunting humans, and they're the ones trying to get away from everybody. This is the issue that finally tied everything together. All those flashbacks that they did through all of the issues finally led to this. The Elder Vampires, Rami, all the info that he learned, all the new group members. It was such a good issue. Seriously, let's talk about this one more down below because this was no doubt in my mind the best read of the week. And for those reasons, we absolutely have coming in at number 1. This is Image's Little Monsters, issue number 10. And that's a wrap on this week's top 10 list of books, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment down below what your top read of the week was, which ones you think I missed out on. And thank you for watching, everyone. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you don't want to miss out on any of my upcoming content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below with notifications turned on. You won't regret it. Now, I've got 2 more sitting off the side here with more of my comic book content. Click on one of those and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.